And we're in. How's everyone doing? Can everyone hear me okay? Everything all good? Hi Phil. Hi Tin. How you guys doing? Perfect. Right. You guys have stuff that the rest of the world knows nothing about. You Brits know how to snack. True and also not true because I'm not actually English. Believe it or not. I'm actually from the middle of Africa in Kenya. So yeah, that's a whole thing. But it's very complicated. Um, so yeah, mostly good. Why mostly good, Phil? What have you done, or what has someone done to you? Hi, Jacob. How you doing? Perfect. Just giving it 2 or 3 minutes just to make sure that everyone's in. Did my Z plate today. Oh man. See, that's the thing with machining, isn't it? You can have a completely perfect run on every single operation, and then if you fuck it up on the last one, it's gone. Like it'll never be. You have to scrap that part. I am in the UK, Tin. I live in the UK now, but I'm not from the UK originally. Had the work coordinate system wrong in CAM. Yep, it gets the best of us. Doing good for a Friday. Why wouldn't you do well on a Friday? Aren't Fridays always the good ones? Ah, who cares? Oh, okay. Right, that doesn't sound too good. So where is it just a scratch mark through the whole thing? Is like the part still usable, but it's just cosmetically messed up, or is it a complete write off on the part? Perfect. Just waiting to see if there are any stragglers coming through. Cool. Right. Looks like it's just going to be us three for now. So I think we should get a bit of a head start going. Check Discord if you can. Check that now. Oh. Uh. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't look great. Um. Yeah. I can see where that went wrong. How deep is that pass though? A couple. That looks like a couple of mil deep at least. Did you? Real question is, did you damage the tooling? Yeah. I think Xscale has it right there. Probably a good idea to stick that on CNC Go on Reddit r/ CNC Go. They'll love it over there. Okay, good to hear the tooling's still good. Perfect. Right, so plan for the day is we're just going to continue where I left off last time. Uh, if you weren't here last week, I am just taking apart my old V1.5, in prepping it for a rebuild, basically. There's a few upgrades I want to do along the way, such as the FMJs, obviously. I've got a Mike 6 plate coming from DFH, right? He's also got 10 more on pre-order. I don't think they're up on the store just yet, but when they come in, I think they'll go fairly quickly because it's hard to find a tooling plate that fits this entire size. We didn't talk about the sizing of it last week, so the whole thing is 500 by, I think, 160. It's built to fit in the footprint of the standard build, and it's got some hold downs on the outsides of it. So just in case you wanted to know what those specifics were. Okay. Yeah, so that's one upgrade we're doing. FMJs, like I said before. And we've got a few other things. We've got so Pin is finishing off with the enclosure soon. At least he is with the extrusions, so I think I'm going to be good to order extrusions as soon as I can afford them. So that'll be fun. And that's whole enclosure is going to go here. Hopefully, by then I'll be able to afford a second camera, and I'll link that up so we can see the whole room rather than just a little corner up there. So that's a whole thing. Yeah. Other than that, I think we can just get going. Start taking shit apart. I think we lost the stream. Okay. Haven't lost it on my end. Got no warnings, which I normally get when the stream goes down. It's back. Perfect. Right. Where did I put my Leatherman? No, I'm not using that. Let's put my Leatherman back. Problem at my end. Okay, fair enough. The Wi-Fi in the frozen north not doing you any good. It's all right. Don't worry. I mean, it's not like you've upset me or anything. You may have, but yeah, I'm just not going to tell you if you have. I'm going to bear that grudge forever. I love nightlock nuts until you actually need to turn them pretty far. Then they're awful things. At that point, I really don't like them. Right. So, popular opinion here. Well, not popular opinion, but a question of opinion. Should I reprint some of these parts, or all of these parts, so that they meet the same kind of aesthetic as my Trident, which is the orange and blue? I really like that color scheme. It's really growing on me. The only reason I went that color scheme originally is because it was all the films I had on hand. Or do I keep it the red and black? Because I really want to reprint some of these parts because some of them have changed, and I want to make it as easy for you guys to follow along if you guys are building Milo. And if parts look different, then it kind of turns people off sometimes. What do you think I should do, guys? I wonder if I can put a poll. Can I put a poll in YouTube chat? Is that a thing I can do? I'll see. Ooh. Beth and I have seemed to have gravitated to to Makita blue. I like the darker blues. Not too much of a fan of the Makita blue. That's just a personal preference thing. My enclosure matches his machine. Dude, where did your hair go? I cut it all off. Yeah, it got a bit too long. So at work we have these. Even though I work at like a holiday park type thing, the helmet I use is a proper like rope access helmet. And the knobs, you have little knobs on the side to adjust the tightness of it. And my hair kept getting caught inside the knobs, so it just had to go. It was just getting a bit too long. I'm still rocking the corn yellow. Hey, Gil, did you ever finish your machine? I can't actually remember if you got your serial or not. Royal blue for King Charles. We don't talk about King Charles here. I'm only joking when I say that. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't raised in the UK. I don't really have that much of a link to this place. I only live here now. My parents are proper like royalists, but I just never really understood it. Not that I don't like them, I just don't really have an opinion on the royal family. They cause a bit of drama every now and again, and there's a big uproar, and then they seem to drift off to sleep for another 6 months or so. That's one motor off. Where do I put this? Where's my box? Here's my box. Perfect. I am not prepared for this. Here's my ruler. 20 minutes. Third. I got it moving, but I still need to find time with the electrician to do the spindle circuit. Hey, Bleach. How you doing? How's your day been, dude? Or dudette? Can't assume nowadays, can I? Where are you? There we are. What do you mean by electrician? You mean just somebody that you have who's wired up a main circuit before? Or do you mean an actual electrician? Oh, hey, Ray. How you doing, dude? Ray, I always wonder where the hell you live. You said you lived on an island somewhere, I think. Unless my memory's just gone all philly. Which, to be honest, could be the case. Right. What am I going to do next? Feel like the Z column needs to come off all the way. Hey, Ray. His shirt does not like having a mic on it, holding in. Hopefully that's a bit better. Cable's out the way. someone who's pretty used to mains and up voltages. I'm guessing you mean high voltages there. Yeah, that's fair enough. If you're not comfortable with it, you're not comfortable with it. As a caveat, though, it is just 3 wires most of the time. It's not too difficult to learn, but of course, stay within your comfort zone there. We don't want the first Millennium fatality, please. If anyone's going to die building Milo, it's going to be me. No one else, please. I had so many questions about deeper grain. Now, I'm not going to read the second half of that bit. Why did you think I was black? I thought my face mill was the primary candidate for a Milo-related death. Please don't talk like that, Phil. We like you. We don't want to see you go. Yes, I did grow up in Africa. Well, I agree. Genuinely, the first time I heard that your breaker go, I jumped in my seat. I thought something had flown out of the face mill and hit the enclosure. Yeah. Executive decision. I'm gonna reprint all the Milo parts. So adding double pane 5mm plexi windows to catch Philip's flying bits. So before you came along, Tin, I was thinking of doing an enclosure based off the Doom Cube, like Voron mod, which has the double paned plexi on it. I thought that would be a good idea, but then I also realized how expensive that would be for something so big. Why I'm tearing it down? Okay, so I'm tearing it down to rebuild it. Why am I rebuilding it? There's a few reasons. One, when I built this was the first ever V1.5. Some stuff has changed since then, and that is kind of something I want to add to the machine. Secondly, there are some mods I want to add to it, so I'm adding the FMJ. If you didn't see last week, I got 2 FMJs from Jason over at LDO to test. Now these work great. There's a few problems with them, though. They're not massive problems. The first thing is they only built for the 100mm clearance, not for the 120mm clearance like I wanted. And they have 6.2mm holes in them, which isn't a bad thing. Again, like Phil said last week, the 5.2mm holes means that he can actually do some adjustments with them, which is it helps with the tramming of the actual mill, so that's not too bad. But the biggest thing for me is I really wanted some steel plates. These are aluminium, really nicely made. And I think I'm actually going to be giving these to someone over on the Discord. I just need to actually get off my arse and send them. But, yeah. So instead of using those ones, I decided, well, a few of the guys on the team decided that we were going to get some steel-plated one, not steel-plated, some proper steel FMJs. I have mine coated in some truck bed liner, so I have that nice textured finish on them. Yeah. Last week, someone wanted me to dual wield these, so as is tradition, I will dual wield them once more. I think my zombie slaying ability has gone up by 3. So yeah, 3 at a time, I reckon. And these are the ones I have to the actual spec that I want. These are the 120mm clearance ones. And they're heavy. Very heavy. LDO Jason here. You ungrateful. No, it was completely my fault. Like I said on the last stream, it was my fault because I sent him Techmorphic's normal config file, which just has 100 mils clearance, and he didn't realize that it was a parametric file. So yeah, completely my fault. I get to do the fun job now of taking all the screws out of the Z-axis. And this Z-axis is 80% of the reason why we have 131 12mm M5s. What is the plan for the FMJ mod? Is it going to be an official part? Are we considering integration and upgrade path to the repo? So, FMJs will never be part of the main Milo, right? And that's not to say that it's a bad upgrade. It's a really, really good upgrade. There's a reason I'm doing it, and Tech did a great job on it. The reason it's not going to become a main thing in the main in the standard build is because you can't either machine it on the bed of Milo or can't print it on a standard kind of Ender 3 style printer. One of the design constraints that we have is that it needs to fit on a standard printer like a 220mm Ender 3 or something like that, or it needs to fit on the bed of the printer to then be machined later. Right? So things like the Z and XY plates, I'll actually show you. So these are the ones I got sent by Fabrico. That fits on the work area of Milo. So I don't mind these being aluminium because someone else can make them and do a kind of mill it forward. Hence the reason why we've got Phil in the chat today. Although, I will say that we are working with LDO, like I said before, and LDO is a reseller of parts, so you'll probably see it in Fabrico stores as well as DFH's stores at some stage, because they both resell to. They're both LDO resellers, and you'll just see it as a mod. And the official kit that we're working on also has it. The official LDO kit that we're working on also has it as a standard part. Well, thinking about it at least. Because you can do that the kind of stuff with kits because they're providing it to you. You don't have to make it all yourself. But we also want to consider the person who is just making it all by themselves. And this is why I like having Dave around, because he can just translate my rambling into a 2-line sentence YouTube chat and explain everything that I just have. Thanks, Dave. Get some close up. How is my voice? How's volumes for everything? Is the music volume all right? Is the stream quality okay? Just a quick check-in. No, Ray, I have not been fit for a very long time. Used to be, not anymore. Those days are over now. Yeah, sound vol is good, but a bit echoing. Yes, so that's just because of the room I'm in. If you were here last week, you'll notice that I've got a few more sound panels. I've got sound panels on there, and I've got a blanket hanging up over there. That's just to try and stop the echoes from happening as much. Let's see if that helps any bit. Does that help at all? Sometimes just opening a door in a room stops it from echoing as much. Yeah. Music, what music? Right, I'll turn that up a little bit. Oh, I know what music, why there's no music. Because I forgot to press play. There we go. All Tuesday last week, they all blur together for me. I just live day by day, get told what to do, and show up. I don't need pointless things like time getting in my way. Right, should be music now. How's the music? Perfect, good. So, if you haven't noticed, the stream replay from last week is no longer on the channel because someone in Russia flagged a song that was on a streaming playlist on Spotify, so I had to delete it or get a copyright strike. Off to a great start with my first stream. Already got 1 copyright strike. You didn't see what I posted on Discord the other day, did you, Ray? I've definitely broken a tap. I've already had to replace one. Might be doing some tapping today, actually. I could have, and I still have the actual downloaded version of the stream. I might repost it, re-upload it, and see if I can get around a copyright claim. But yeah. Yeah, one mod I forgot to talk about earlier. I've also filling the dead beam up with some epoxy granite. I've already got one of them filled over here. There you go, that's filled with some epoxy sand. Right, and that's just to help with some dampening. Gonna do a video comparing the stiffness, not the actual dampening ability, but the stiffness of the fill beam versus the non-film beam. Fill beam. So just in case you guys wanted to know what it was actually, if it had any other benefits other than dampening. Oh god, I'm gassy today. Ugh, disgusting. Yeah, I think Dave broke a fairly cheap tap as well. I broke a Wira tap. So I win on that one. I've never tapped anything, so when I saw that Ooznest was offering 12-hole tapping for £2, I didn't take the risk to tap it myself. Which is good, because I did the exact same thing. But the thing is, stuff doesn't always go to plan. So, for one of the mods that I'm doing some blind joints on the Z-axis, so the actual L axis here. I need some threaded holes. I need some threaded holes where I didn't want threaded holes originally, so I have to tap some. There is one video on YouTube about filling extrusions with epoxy granite that's actually decent, and it's really not that good. So hopefully I can produce something that's a little bit better. Later. You know what I really want? Yeah, I really want a way in RepRap firmware to put a precision round pin. Use the continuity on that pin, so attach a wire to it somehow. Put another precision pin in the spindle, and then automatically set your E-steps. So run a routine that touches off on both sides of the pin. If it takes whatever distance it reads, does the E-steps calculations for it, and then all you need to do is and then just auto updates your E-steps. I don't know why that hasn't been a thing yet. Why that isn't a thing yet. But I, again, don't have that technical knowledge to do that kind of thing. So, probably a good reason why you don't want to do it, but I don't know what it is yet. I'm going to stick this in the post bit. I need to clean this place up, man. It is not looking organized. My favorite part of Milo is the Z-axis bearing block. Why? Feel like there's a weird reason for that, Ray. You need to be absolutely certain that you are touching on the widest part. So if you mean the widest part of an end mill. I'm not talking about putting an end mill in the... So you have two pins. You have one that's attached to the table, which is a precision ground pin, and then your second precision ground pin is also in the spindle. So you can do that, touch it off on either side, do the calculations, and then you take that pin out of the spindle and you can continue cutting with an end mill. Yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes parts just are simple. You know what my favourite part is? The Z motor plate. Because for some reason, every time I look at it, it reminds me of Elvis's hair. I know that's a weird thing to say, but you know, why not? Oh, okay, yeah, I get you now. I get you. Okay, then run a centering routine beforehand. So, you know, there's a CNC kitchen video where he does a little bit of a G-code magicry, where he touches around a pin, and then can find absolute center of that. So if you did that before running the adjustment routine, moved to center, then moved over by 1 radius and started from there, or 1 and a bit radius, then you'd always get the widest part. And tram errors, yeah, you're right with tram errors, but fortunately tram errors are there's only one way to fix a tram error, and that's to tram everything. So it would be something that you ran after tramming. CNC Kitchen one is basically a CMM. Very rudimentary CMM. I mean, yeah. Basically what I'm going to do with the 3D Touch Pro routine. Well, I hope that Touch Pro routine goes well, because I might be stealing that code off of you and making it an official thing if it works. Probably not if it works, probably when it works. Right. So, what's everyone doing this weekend? Anyone got any plans, or do people work over the weekend? More questions about the repo. Currently, the printed parts are manual exports in CAD software. It looks like the other open hardware repos have gone this way too. The dev in me wants to say that printed parts should as code. What? Printed parts should as code? Maybe parametrics within reasonable range. The idea would be to improve the process contributing to the printed Milo. Not too sure what you're getting at that there. Oh yeah, you're probing something, always make sure that you have the spindle on. Don't. Don't do that, just in case anyone thought I was being serious. A really quick way to ruin your parts and your machine. Okay. I'm not sure if I agree with you there, Xscale. OpenSCAD is a very, very niche thing. Like, you take 3D printing and 3D modeling in general, and that's one niche. And then you have OpenSCAD, which is a niche within a niche. And I don't think most people would appreciate that. If we included it as well as, yeah, maybe, that would be something cool. But I don't think the layman is going to enjoy using OpenSCAD. OpenSCAD is for the people who it's for the people who are already programmers, in my mind, at least. So Phil, what I think he means is he wants there to be OpenSCAD versions. He wants us to include the files as the coded versions, as the raw code files, rather than as just an STL or just as a step file or something like that. Because there's a lot more versatility in the pure code versions. The idea is that you could automatically export OpenSCAD files to SCAD as releases in GitHub. OpenSCAD is delightful until you try to reference an existing location. What do you mean? So if I made a change within a Fusion model, it would automatically update on GitHub. Is that what you're trying to get at? I think I need to move my drill press. I don't like having it on the workbench. I don't have anywhere else to put it. Someone from the design team, I'm getting on Discord call so I can explain without spamming chat. I mean, I'm sure most people are interested in it. I can't do it because obviously I'm streaming. Yeah. Trust me, I'm an engineer. My favorite line. Did anyone start off on something that wasn't Reddit? Did, like, anyone start off on 9gag first? Because that was me. I wasn't on Reddit until early 2020, something like that, I think. I know saying 9gag is kind of taboo nowadays. But yeah, there used to be a thing that went through 9gag all the time where it was, trust me, I'm an engineer. I love those days. Just as a behind the curtains type thing, Friday streams like today are going to be a rare thing for me. Normally, I've got things that I have to do on a Friday. Well, I say I've got things I have to do. I have a D&D game I play every Friday with the guys from work. So normally I'm there. So Fridays aren't going to be a normal thing for me. The only reason I'm not playing today is because the group's old DM is in town, and I don't really know him that well, so I thought I'd stay out of this game and let them play. I just realised something. I forgot to actually share the address for the stream. Is 9gag still alive? I remember it was a really hard adjustment for me for Reddit for some reason. Like, you had the same type of people on between 9gag and Reddit. Like, there was no real difference between the people. But it was the way that content was displayed to you. On 9gag, it was just all on a feed, kind of like Instagram. And everyone pretty much liked the same things. So you just kind of went through what people thought was cool. You very rarely actually decided what you were wanting to see. Whereas Reddit, you could. And I think that's eventually why Reddit won out for me. Let me know, is the stream grainier than it usually is? 8,000. If that's any better. Hopefully that's better. What thing on the internet doesn't become sad after a while? That's a real question. I wonder how long Voron will be a thing. Like, things like Voron, like, I don't know. Okay, talk about the MPCNC for a second, because the MPCNC kind of has some kind of relation to us. The MPCNC was a really big thing for a while, and everyone kind of starts getting recommended one, especially when Tom did his video on it. And then it kind of just dropped off, and everyone on the MPCNC Reddit group is just so obsessed with it. Like, you can't say a bad word about the MPCNC on there without getting a million people coming up to you and going, "Oh, you're just wrong. You're just wrong." Like, don't get me wrong, I appreciate what the MPCNC is, but we have better machines than we did back then for a fairly similar price. Yes, true. See, that's the thing I've always tried to do with Milo. I may not have always succeeded with it, but I always try it. I do. When people recommend, I keep asking between the Prince NC and Milo, and I always try and be really honest with them. I don't like the idea of telling people that my machine is better or that this machine is better. I like to go about it by saying, well, if you don't have the space, get Milo. Print and see if you have the space, it's a great machine. It's good price. But if you're only looking at doing small parts, it's a bit of a waste. Try and be as critical as I can. And I hope I've done that so far. I hope you guys have taken that on board as well. Very good idea to take a photo of this before. And actually, before I rip it apart. Yep. Oh, thanks. So, here's how much of an engineer I am not. So, I learned a lot from Milo V1.4. So, if you don't know how the release cycle went, V1.0, 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3 were all internal. They were all just me testing around, doing some bits and pieces. V1.4 was the original release of the machine, right? It was the first machine to ever actually see the light of day, to anyone who wasn't just me. And I learned a lot from that one. So I went out about redesigning it for V1.5, and all the stuff that I learned, I put into it, but I very rarely actually got to test anything because I lived in a flat with my girlfriend at the time, and we didn't have any space. We had the bedroom, we had the kitchen, we had the living room, we had the bathroom, and that was it. I didn't really have the space for a full-sized mini mill and enclosure in there. So I would test things like motion and stuff like that, but I couldn't actually cut anything. When I saw Dave's first video on it, I got so scared because I thought he was going to over push it. I thought it was going to be way out of the capabilities of the machine, the things that he was trying to throw at it. And then just watching that video, I was wincing, just waiting for something to break, and it never did. And that was a really proud moment for me. Just a behind the scenes thing. Tested the 80mm rad. It was okay until the water tank flipped. Bad times. Yeah, I can't imagine that would be any good. Did anything get wet? Did you get any water on the electronics? And are you okay? That's the main thing. Are you okay? People gotta stop dropping things on them. It's happened like 3 times in the last week. People I know. Dave's vid actually seeing the machine milling and doing it well. One of the things that pushed me towards actually building it, building one rather than just finding it an interesting project to follow. Yeah, and that's always the same. I had at one stage I was really stressed that the project wouldn't gain any traction. I couldn't get anything. I couldn't show you guys anything, and it really annoyed me. And yeah, maybe it shouldn't have as much as it did, but it did. But it's one of those things, like, I get really stressed about releases. I get really stressed whenever I see someone comment in bug report. And most of the time it's something really minor, like 9 Mile, I think there's a slight misalignment in a part that you found. And that's a really easy fix for me to do. Like, that's not too bad. But then when people find some major issues, that's when I start to freak out. Or a lot of a small issue, like when Ray found out that the holes for the inserts weren't wide enough initially. That really made me scared because I thought everyone's gonna go, oh, he can't even get that simple thing right. There's no point in investing in the project. When in actual fact, it's just because I thought that all brass inserts were the same size, so I bought some knockoff versions of the CNC Kitchen ones. And they fit. So when the other ones started not fitting, I thought, well, that doesn't really make any sense. But that's just because I'm cheap. I just bought oversized ones. You did save me on that one, Ray. Not gonna lie. You did. Right. In case you wanted to know how jank my VFD mounting system was, I printed this. Wait until I tell you about the big one. What big one? I printed this, I think, an hour before Dave came to collect it, because the VFD at the time was just on the side. And I found a model off of GrabCAD, I think, of a Huanyang, or however you pronounce that name, VFD. And I thought it would be the same size, but turns out that it wasn't, and I had to do... Focus, focus, focus. Come on. Focus for me. Nope, not focusing. There you go. Yeah, I had to offset them with a soldering iron, because they weren't in the right spots. So that's how jank this has been for a while. The big oopsie of you. Now you're just making me paranoid, Ray. Now you're just being mean. It's alright. Don't worry about it, 9 Mile. Stuff needs to be fixed. Like, I am not above saying that, yeah, there are some minor issues that need to be sorted out. And in time, when I have the time, I'll get to them. The real big issue is V1.5 is almost entirely supported by myself. And that's not because the others don't want to work on it, it's just because I was the only one who did work on it initially. I'm the only one who kind of knows the ins and outs of the machine. So I'm the only one who could really go into CAD and fix it half the time. But that will change, hopefully, when Dave finally gets off his arse and finishes his build, because I really want to see his build get done. Also, Alex Trevor in chat is an absolute legend if he's trying to put a CNC depot spindle on his machine, as well as a Meso controller on it, because at that point the control system alone costs nearly 4 or 5 times what a normal Milo would cost. Dave is still set on 48-volt and Spider King board. Dave is set on Linux CNC, which is cool. but I also think it's a bit too complicated for the most part. I think he went for the Spider King because it's Remora capable, or it's a Remora chipset, something like that. Which is technically supported by Linux CNC. I don't know if he's running it at 48 volt. He could do if he wanted to. I think the Spider King can take that. But if he needs to, he can always drop back down to our RepRap firmware. Oh, here's the thing. A lot of people think I have a weird issue, a weird obsession with RepRap firmware. It's not that I have an issue with RepRap firmware, it's just that there's the alternatives. So Gerbil is really basic. It works for what you need it to, but I want a Wi-Fi connected machine. Fluid NC, I've never had a good experience with. Not entirely. I know it's a lot better now. I just haven't tested it yet. RepRap firmware is cool. It has a decent looking interface. And people keep also say I'm against Clipper sometimes. No, I'm not against Clipper. It's just that there's no CNC supporting Clipper. Why would I run a CNC on something that doesn't support CNC work? I need to find a way to actually listen to my computer while streaming. I always get really anxious that it's completely quiet in here when you guys can hear music and hear me. I get really anxious, just in general. You do a poll in. Yeah. Left down chat window. Wait. Yes, I have looked into Clippy CNC. Problem with Clippy CNC is it's very, very basic. And it's also, from what I've read, pretty buggy right now. It's like saying Blender has a parametric mode now. I think it's an extension that you get. Now, although you can do some proper modeling, some proper solid modeling, some proper parametric modeling in it, and you can do some pretty basic stuff. I wouldn't trust it to be my daily driver over Fusion, for example. I have a Spider King 24 volt only right now, and it seems to have an issue with Red Rat Firmware detecting some of the big 5160 drivers. It only sees the first two slots, so interested to see what Dave's experiences is. Have you tried moving the 5160s to the other slots and then just changing which motors are configured to the axis that they meant to be on? Because you can do stuff like that in RepRap. No one driver is forced to be on a single axis, unlike Marlin. And Marlin is just dead now, isn't it? It's just not a thing anymore. Which is a real shame, because Marlin at one stage was the thing that everyone used. It was the go-to firmware. Even, like, companies were still using it. Companies still use it for some of their printers. Nope, Reality hasn't left that wagon yet. Dave, if you're in chat, I found the presents that you left me. I'm assuming you used these to tram the mill in. Are there any rude words written on them? No, no rude words. I'm disappointed. Disappointed in you, Dave. In that case, 5160s on the Z-axis and on the Y-axis. Those are your two heaviest axes. The Y-axis has to hold both your X and Y. It has to move that around the whole time. And your Z-axis has your spindle on it, so it's going to be the heaviest one to move up and down. So use a 2209 on the X-axis because it's the lightest axis of the entire thing. I don't know why, like, why is it an option in Marlin to turn it off? Because I've gone through to see if it's actually there. It says, well and truly, like, it's specifically what it is, and then it has a little comment that says, don't disable it. Why give people the option to disable it if it's such a critical safety feature? Right. I get that you want freedom of firmware, I get that. But you also don't want people to burn their houses down. And I think that should take priority, personally. Irish tramming was more straightforward adjustment. So, like I was saying last week, I think with those brace mods that someone was looking at, that might be an easy way of tramming. An easier way of tramming. And I might look into doing that on this one if they don't get it done in time. Because with those braces, you can preload if you have some nod forward, which is going to be your most common issue, if you have the Z-axis tilted forward, which is going to be the most common issue, you can preload it backwards with some braces on the table. And using some turnbuckle type things, like a turnbuckle type mechanism, you could decide how much that nod is. Well, hopefully at least. That's what I'm thinking of in my mind. No one needs it. Marlon's just something else at this point. It was really. I watched a Teaching Tech video the other day, and I've stopped kind of watching Teaching Tech altogether. Not because he's a bad YouTuber, but because a lot of this stuff is really basic. And it's stuff I already know about, or it's stuff that I would rather read about. And it was the video on Marlon input shaping. And I just felt embarrassed. I really did. It was one of those things where it's just like, is it really input shaping if it's implemented so badly? Like, I don't know. One of those things. Like, don't get me. I get why he made a video of that, because his whole channel is based around, there is a tool, I'll show you how to use that tool, which is a really good way of doing it, because for newbies, it's an excellent source of learning. I think he's got one of the better YouTube channels for that specific thing, that type of content at least. If your enclosure is strong enough, you could do some turnbuckle links to the actual enclosure itself, and that way the enclosure could help with the preload. But the thing with that is, I don't think a 2020 extrusion would be strong enough to withstand all that force for a long time. I think it would start bending over time. It is freezing in here. Beer is I haven't had the heating on because I'm a polar bear and I like it cold. It is 10 degrees in here right now. So my beer is still cold, don't worry. Right. That axis is now gone. Perfect. That took way longer than I was expecting it to. I was concerned. I am now relieved to know that your beer is cold. Trust me, so am I. Can you guys hear my phone vibrate? Is that what you're on about, Phil? You not vibrate. That was weird. Okay, phone's off vibrate now. I'll know that for next time. I'm still wondering what color I should make the next build. I'm still thinking whether or not we should keep it the same as my trident, so it's all matchy, or should we go completely in the opposite direction and find something that is over the top. Not maybe not as far as 3D Printer Noob, where he's made a Skittles themed one with all the Skittles colors. But maybe like a Joker build, like a green and purple or something like that. Or a Hulk build. Maybe a color that you want to see, put it in the chat. What am I going to do next? Think detaching the axis. Really a good idea. Good place to start. I don't get the Miku one. I don't know what Miku is. And I keep looking at it and going, what? Well, I really want to see it as well. Did they make a tricolor ABS yet? I have some blue, green, purple silk PLA that looks incredible. I don't know if they do. But, well, you can always do the old CNC Kitchen method of just printing two colors. You can print your own filament. Oh, is it Skate's one? I thought it was Ray's one. I was on the same boat there with you. Right, I know most of the people here today are European or live in Europe. I'm going to guess that this is a good time for you guys for streaming. I'm looking at maybe moving it either a bit later if I can, so on like a day where I have the next day off, and streaming at like midnight in the UK, just so I can get the American crowd in. To be honest, going high contrast could be cool for documentation, easy to read or watch. Okay. What colors do you mean by high contrast? Do you mean like a black and white theme? Or do you mean like what I have over here on my Trident with a really vibrant orange and some bright blue? What I need really is more light in here. I've got two 75 watt bulbs on stands, another light over there. See if Alexa, Trident on.
Okay.
See if my Trident will help light our way. A little bit. Anything dark and that would be out of the question. Yeah, I agree with that. Right, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go grab some towels. And I'm back. I need some ISO. Keep my ISO. Here I keep my ISO. Yes. Pale blue, pale pink, bubblegum theme. Okay, I'll have a look. The UK really doesn't have that much good ABS. Not at a decent price, at least. Um, what do you mean? What do you mean? You're not allowed to drink IPA. You're not meant to. I don't know, what else am I meant to drink? Why not? Next thing you're gonna tell me is that triangles aren't the best shape. Ooh. Is gin as big a thing in Germany as it is in the UK? Because a few years ago it just exploded. Exactly, X-Scale. Yeah, if a man can't drink in the comfort of his own, drink IPA in the comfort of his own home, I mean, the world's gone crazy, hasn't it? Too much alcohol in January. Fair enough. Personally, I don't think there is such a thing as too much alcohol. Thing as someone who doesn't really drink that much. I like the beers I have on stream with you guys are the most I've drunk in 8 months. I can't stand the smell of gin. It just does something to me. Which is really annoying because I used to work in a bar literally this time last year. No, not this time last year. This time 2 years ago. And we specialized in gin, so I had to smell it every single day. Fair enough, dude. That makes sense. Sorry to hear about it. What do you mean funerals have alcohol? You never been to a funeral and had a drink before? Or is that not a thing where you are? Okay. Yeah, in the UK and most of the countries I've been to, I've lived in at least, it's a big thing to have a wake after funeral, and everyone goes back and just has a bit of a party to remember the person by. It's not like a big thing, but it just does end up happening quite a lot. Somehow got screws stuck in there. The one I was involved in planning had a lot of long evenings, lots of alcohol, so yeah. I mean, that's not such a bad thing. Sounds like fun, to be honest. As fun as planning a funeral could be. Not doing too well here, I'm just digging my own hole, aren't I? That sounds good, dude. Good. Yep. And this is why I need to redo my wiring. It's an absolute mess. Hopefully having an enclosure will help with that. Or just give me an excuse to hide it. Hide all my bad wiring even more. That way I'm not shot all the time. Oh, trust me, it was bad. Problem is labeling. I need to label my cables a lot more. I don't know how I managed to do it, but I tried to redo the wiring a couple months ago, sorry. And I took the back panel off something like 4 times because I kept getting the wrong motor. The wrong end stop wires and plugging them into the wrong places. And yeah, I could have fixed that in firmware, but I didn't want to. Who's Nest is selling NEMA 23 wiring with their motors. It's just not compatible with the Mellow Fly something. Yes, it is. So these are Who's Nest's motors. Right? They have, don't know what that link there is called. But they just break out into your normal JST connectors. Right? Yeah, don't need to worry about that. Those fit the Mellow Fly, I promise you. Mine's a mixture of PTFE wiring and some silicon wire. It's fairly hard to find PTFE wiring unless you're ordering in from Ali. In the UK at least. Don't know why. But yeah. I couldn't find any from a local supplier to save my life. Also, the silicon wire is just cheaper to get. I know it's not meant to last in drag chains as long, but yeah. It is what it is. You went a bit overkill with your wire. You went a bit overkill with everything, didn't you? You were the first person to have an enclosure, weren't you? It's a US source, but they're roughly 2 times the price of Ali. Yeah. Yep. And if you haven't realized by now, I'm cheap, so yeah. Price does play a big factor into what components I get. Because I still need to eat at the end of the day. How long have you had your Voron for now, Veritas? It's been a good few months now, hasn't it? Just eat the wire. I hear PTFE and leaded solder taste great. Yeah, it's not too bad of a taste, but it doesn't beat the sweet, sweet taste of IPA. You still haven't built Milo. Veritas, I'm disappointed in you. You're like the only one on the team who isn't either planning to or has built a Milo. Get on it. Be better. Might be an unpopular opinion, but I really don't like pale ales. I feel like they taste like soap half the time. But I've had very mixed bag of reactions to me saying that in the past. Bought the Draenix starter set. Hopefully it's a good start since I have no idea what I'm doing. So far as I've seen, they look really good. They remind me of, I had some Amana tools, single flutes, which are really expensive, like 40 quid for a tool, for just one. But it was my favorite tool that I ever used. 9mal, was it? You lost on Tuesday, who was asking me about something that I've made before on Milo. I think it was. So I actually found one thing that I had made before. And it was my old fixture plate. Yeah, so that whole thing was made on Milo. This was on my V1.4. I think it came out fairly nice. Going to be starting this month, bringing all the plates and the fasteners I had here in Miami up to New York City. That finish is actually fire. Yeah. So the annoying thing about that is it's a good thing to have, a little fixture plate, but I didn't at the time. I'd forgotten that I had to tune in my steps per millimeter on all my axes. So it was meant to be every 20 mil there was going to be a 5 mil hole or a 6 mil dowel hole. And it ended up being like every 23.3 something millimeters, because I didn't actually put the right steps per millimeter in. If you're just looking to clamp something down, it's fine, because you can reference off the thing that you're clamping. But if you're looking at getting any kind of accurate positioning, it's just not that great. The face eater mill, yeah. It's the man eater, that thing. I've just realised something. Oh no, wait, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. All worked out. All worked out for you. I did print enough. I'm done. Alright, Skill. Thanks for coming, dude. Boss Tornado. Like that one. Wipe these down with some IPA first, actually. Got some. Biggest thing I've noticed with Rails is a lot of people will just put some grease in the rails and then leave the rails like that and let the grease protect the rails themselves. I have not had that good of an experience with them. I've started forming surface rust, so I think the best thing to do is put your grease on, then apply some oil on the rails themselves, and just give those a quick wipe down. And hopefully that's just enough to keep them from rusting. Surface rust shouldn't be a problem as long as it stays surface rust and nothing else. Waiting for a build at work. SWE? What does SWE mean? So there is a setting, Phil, for most VFDs, and it's called different things on different VFDs. And it's a torque compensation. So if the VFD starts to see the speed starts slowing down, or it starts getting too much resistance, it will push more current through VFD, which will stop it from stalling, or well, with what happened to yours, where it stopped spinning up. I didn't use it on my V1.4. Sorry, I didn't use it initially on my V1.4, and I kept getting it where it would just stop spinning, just start spinning down. Never blew a fuse or anything. Might be something you want to look into. Yeah. It's one of those things that, one of those settings that even small numbers changes it a lot. And you can damage your either spindle or VFD with it, but it's worth tuning. Okay, so is that confirmed now that it's aluminium chips, or was that just a guess? Yeah, that's VFDs for you, cheap VFDs. Ah. Looks like Tin is playing around with his enclosure again. If you ever get Fusion Teams working, is it Fusion Teams or whatever, a Fusion group going, right? Message them and ask them to not send you an email every time anyone makes an edit to a file. Because every morning or every few hours, I wake up to him having done some edit and an email being sent to me saying that he's done some kind of edit on projects that I don't work on. Email DOC 25mm step over. No problem today. That's fairly impressive. I mean, that's not just fairly impressive. That is very impressive. Who needs the documentation? All you need is a multimeter. I have a weird thing on my my VFD. So to enable it, you need to send it a 5-volt signal, which is fine. That sounds about right. That's a fairly common in a VFD. You need some kind of signal that needs to be sent. But on my VFD, for some reason, that 5-volt signal has to come from the controller itself. It has to complete a circuit. I can't just send it a 5-volt signal from my board. It has to come from the VFD itself. So I have to run a relay and run a wire from the VFD down into the control box to then run back out of the relay that's in the control box and back up to the VFD just to close the circuit. Why is that a thing? I'll tell you why it's a thing. Because Deep Chinese VFD. And nowhere in the documentation do they tell you this. I just had to find that out myself. It could be, but I just wish that they said something about it. Okay then, but riddle me this. Oh wait, no, actually no. Never mind. Never mind. I'm thinking of the wrong thing. If they'd marked it with spindle enable negative and positive, then yeah, that would make inherent sense. But they don't do that. They have a 5-volt output from the VFD, and they have one spindle enable pin. It's one of those things that if you don't know how a VFD works, you're not going to know this kind of thing. Which was the position I was in at the time. So that's the y-axis done. Yeah. It's always nice to have some good documentation on things, which reminds me, I actually need to finish the build documentation. I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to finish that off as its own thing. Just finish the actual mechanical assembly, release that, and then we can release a firmware / wiring diagram as a separate piece of documentation. Because I know that's going to take a bit of time as well. Get done. Right, so I think I'm going to actually end this here and do the last of this off stream. Just because I need to print off some more carriage ball holders. That'll take a bit too much time to do on stream. And then hopefully in the next stream, in a week or two, I've got 5 days off in a row. Hopefully I can stream a few of those days and actually get a full build going. So we'll stick around for a few more minutes. Then we'll head on off. I hope everyone's enjoyed the stream so far. Hope everyone's doing well as well. And hopefully this time I don't get copyright striked when I post the replay. What's everyone up to tomorrow? Ooh, full build, yes. If you don't know, I'm going to be rebuilding this one from the ground up, reprinting all the parts. Because there are some parts that have changed. Yeah? Oh. Thanks for saying that, dude. I do hope you mean that and you're not just saying it. Well, I'm gonna head off, guys. Enjoy your days. Have fun. I hope all of you have a great weekend as well. And I'll